Hey Tim, another day in the life of COVID. How have you been?
Yes. Yeah, pretty much COVID out, really, if I'm honest with you. I've had enough of it.
I know, it's so exhausting. It really is exhausting. Anyway, oh look, I've lost my video there. What's gone on?
Don't know.
Let me see if I can come back. There we are.
You're back.
All right. Okay. So lots of things going on again. We've got the regulations for the residential tenancies. So what are we doing with that? How can people get access to that?
Well, I think the best thing to do initially is listen to our webinar tomorrow or watch it.
Yep.
Our webinar tomorrow, because we'll be going through all of that. So as you said, we got it late yesterday afternoon.
Yep.
So my team and I've been absorbing that since then. We've put together the position that we understand, plus obviously what we've got from fair trading from our conversations with them. But I think that as a first step for anyone wanting to know anything about it, I'd strongly recommend you have a look at the webinar tomorrow, and there'll be some documents that will come out of that too, which will be of value. And
we've also got Fiona Blaney on the webinar with us tomorrow as well. So that'll be a really good session. I'm looking forward to that. Yep. But from a commercial perspective, we don't have any regs yet, right?
No. So the code, as we said the last time we spoke about that, when was that? Yesterday? Seems like 1,000 years ago. So the code itself has gone live, as we said, but we're waiting on the regulations to make it applicable, if you will, in New South Wales. So the federal government has said, we've got this code and it's a warm fuzzy thing that talks about how we're going to all work together. But then the actual policy outcomes within the code will have to be brought to life by regulation in New South Wales. And I think that is with the Commissioner of Small Business, not fair trading.
Yeah, that's correct. And so do we have any timeline from small business to know when those regs are out? No, okay.
No, the inquiries are being made, but I don't know. And this is the difficult part about all of our conversations. I use the words I don't know too often, but, that is the position. But what concerns me is if they have retrospective legislation, and sometimes they do that. So it could be the case that they'll bring the reg in and take it back to the 14th when the code went live. I'm hoping they don't do that, but...
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So you and I had a call with Fair Trading today, and we really had a long conversation around the fact that property managers are required to proceed in a certain way with termination notices to make sure that the landlord insurance is valid. However, those terminations have now been prohibited by the new regulation. So where do we stand?
That is technically speaking is a total mess. So
okay.
So you've got a landlord's policy that didn't contemplate a pandemic, and didn't contemplate all of the health orders and everything else that's gone on. So as a consequence of that, the policy says that you have to do this, this, and this, which in 6 months ago wouldn't have been a problem. We just would have followed that process. But now that process, some of it at least, has been taken away from us because we can't go down and get this order from the tribunal and et cetera, et cetera. So we're in this rather crazy position where we have to go and do something which we're not permitted to do. And again, this depends on the policy you're looking at. Have to do something we're not permitted to do because that satisfies the policy. So we are really begging fair trading to move on this and give us some guidance. I appreciate they're talking to the Insurance Council, which is a bit like the Institute for Insurers.
Yeah.
They're speaking to them, but that's all well and good. But the council, the Insurance Council, can't bind the insurers, and we need something from them. It could be the case with this, which fair trading would have a small coronary, I would have thought, that we'd be saying, well, don't agree to anything with your tenant. What you may have to do is take everything to fair trading and get an order.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's not go down that road yet. Let's not go down that road yet.
Let's not go down there.
And so off the back of the new regulations, we at REI have had to take some of our forms off the system, which is throwing everybody into a little bit of panic. So what we're going to do is we've just brainstormed a short-term fix for the next couple of days, but we expect that all of those forms should be back online and up to date and current as of Monday or Tuesday of next week, right?
Yeah. So we've recrafted the documents you're talking about, the termination notices, internally, but because of our processes, we send everything out for legal review. It's now with our external lawyers, and we're pushing as hard as we can with trying to catch up again with all of the lovely world that we now live in.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so some other things that we've been working on outside of this. You've sent a letter to Fair Trading about licence fees. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this follows up an earlier conversation we had where we're making a petition to have our licence fees waived this year for agents, for the property services industry more generally.
Yeah.
I think we made a good argument in our letter. We're saying that everybody has to shoulder some of the load here, and our Prime Minister and our Premier made that very, very clear in numerous speeches to the community.
Sure.
So I've said to Fair Trading, we're doing quite a lot, as much as we can do with things just as this and a multitude of other stuff. I think it is appropriate Fair Trading shoulder some of the pain. Yeah. And waive the licensing fees. So, and
certainly I saw on the news last night that the tradies have had their license fees waived. So it's fair and reasonable to expect that we should ask for the same thing.
Yeah, and importantly, Leanne, the tattoo parlours also had their fees waived.
Oh, fantastic! That's awesome. Thank you. Now, something else that we're doing some work around is the banks. The banks have very kindly said, okay, you can have a 6-month mortgage freeze, if you will, but it's not really. I mean, they're deferring it, and it's going to cost people tens of thousands of dollars over the term of their mortgage, depending on how big their mortgage is, right?
That's 100% right. So there's been a lot of money spent by the banks, I think, promoting what great people they are. But in reality, when you look at it, and I'm putting together a press release, so you're hearing it here first, and it's going to say how much is the bank's generosity costing you. So we've done some calculations, and if you defer your repayments by the 6 months, which is on offer, we've done a calculation of how much additional interest you'll have to pay, and it is staggering. Obviously, depending on the balance of the loan, the size of the loan you got, etc., etc. But when you take that into consideration, when you look at that interest, that is a cost that the landlord is bearing to provide discounted rents.
Yeah,
I mean, it's as simple as that, and that is not being taken into the narrative. No. It hasn't reached there. So yet another one.
Yeah, the landlords really are bearing a lot of the burden, but I have to say in New South Wales we're in a much better position than our poor colleagues in Queensland. That's a much tougher deal up there. Let me see. I had a call today from one of my agents who wants to do a second inspection on a property that's for sale and it is tenanted, and the tenant has said, no, sorry, you can't come in until they find a vaccine. I'm not going to let you in. So in that instance, what's your advice to that agent?
Yeah, if we go back 6 months ago and we're in a position where a tenant said, I just won't let you in to inspect the property because you want to sell the property, I just won't permit it. Yeah. You would have had to have gone to NCAT and got an order from NCAT to actually force the tenant to do it. Now, I think it's exactly the same situation here. The tenant has said, I won't let you in because I'm not comfortable that my health can be protected in that if that was to proceed. How NCAT's going to deal with that, I don't know. I suspect they'll come down on the side of the tenant because they wouldn't want. If I was an NCAT tribunal member, I'd be somewhat reticent to be saying, yeah, we're going to let people in. And if one of those people obviously had COVID and et cetera, you know, I think that's going to be an interesting decision.
Yeah, so the best advice is for the agent to negotiate with the tenant and guarantee, you know, gloves and, I don't know, temperature checks and I don't know what else, but they're going to have to do something if they want to sell the house. Otherwise, they just might as well take it off the market.
Yeah, a negotiated solution is got to be a lot better than one that's imposed on you at NCAT. You know, that's, you know, how long does it take to get on and be the first person?
Oh, I don't know. Now, there's a few real estate agents that have got a bit of time up their sleeves. The opportunity to do your mandatory CPD. When will we be able to provide some online solutions for that?
Yeah, so we anticipate having that all up and running probably mid next week.
Great.
Mid next week we think that'll be there, and as you say, it's all online videos and we'll have. The team has put an enormous amount of work into it. I
tell you, your team are doing such a remarkable job right now. I cannot believe how hard everybody is working and scrambling, and I've been really proud to be part of it.
Yeah, they've been amazing, haven't they? I mean, firstly, we've said to them, hey, let's go home where you haven't got any of your resources. And then I've said, and now let's do a lot more work than you've done previously. So that, you know, that they are doing a colossal job.
And of course, you've got a new marketing manager.
Yeah.
Who must be thinking, what the hell is going on in real estate? What a crazy industry.
But anyway, it's a real baptism of fire, but she's doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, she sure is. Absolutely. Now, I heard when the announcement was made on Monday, and I haven't been going to raise this with you. I thought you needed a few days to cool down. But when the minister announced on Monday the relief package, they are giving the tenants union an extra $2-point-something million to assist tenants. And I must admit, I thought of you. I almost messaged you, but I thought, no, you'd throw something at me if I did that.
No, well, yes, I think you were very wise not to raise it with me. So the tenants union each year gets $11 million, and that wasn't static. That was actually right. $11 million a year just for their day-to-day programs. Taxpayers' money, landlords' money, tenants' money, $11 million. And then for their special projects, they get additional money. Now, this is one of those special projects where they're getting about $2.5 million, I think it is, so they can go and educate and assist tenants through this whole COVID-19 issues. Now, I've looked and I can't find where a single solitary penny has been given by the government to assist landlords with all of the things they're going to have to deal with throughout this crisis. Not a penny.
Very, very frustrating, but a conversation that will be ongoing. Okay, so before we go, I know a number of you have already reached out to me and asked me for a copy of the video that I did yesterday, just going through the tenants' obligations in this time and their obligation to pay rent. So if you would like that, by all means reach out. We're happy to send it to you. It's important to remember, because I know a lot of you are saying that tenants are not engaging, they're not paying rent and they're not speaking to you. Don't forget that Fair Trading are there and available to help mediate. They will contact the tenant for you, and surprisingly, Fair Trading have not been inundated yet. So if you are having trouble getting a tenant to engage, reach out to Fair Trading tomorrow and get them to help, because the sooner you get onto that, the better. Anything else that you want to say before we go, Tim?
No, I think I'm right. It's a good point that you make, though, because to get the protection of the moratorium, you have to satisfy those two things. Yep. And again, unfortunately, the vast majority of the narrative is all about we as tenants don't have to pay the rent in the next 6 months. Nobody's listened to anything past that, and so you know that's where the problems have come. And I think the government's announcements, particularly the federal government's announcements in this space, was somewhat irresponsible. So anyway.
Yeah. True. And so you and I will jump onto Facebook and answer any questions that there might be after this webinar, or I'll do that for you. How about that?
Yeah, that'd be useful.
I
face tube badly.
Yes, you're not. It's not your strong point. And so just a reminder, 10:30 tomorrow, we will be talking about the residential regulations, and we'll also have a special guest, Fiona Blaney, to talk about all things property management. So if you've got any questions for that, just let us know. See you later.
Thanks, Leanne.
Bye.